Today's lab is a short one. It consists of a single page document created in Microsoft Word. What we're going to create is a quiz for a fifth grade. In this quiz, we are the teacher of the elementary school class, and we are writing a quiz and we're going to print it out and give it to our students. The quiz consists of seeing 4 pictures of 4 states in the United States, and next to each state we need to write the state name and the state capital. The first thing we're going to do is open up a new blank page. We will File, New, and a blank page. Next task is we're going to establish the margins. In the instructions, the margins are specified as moderate, so I'm going to click on Layout, Margins, and then I'm going to select Moderate Margins from the list. I'm also going to make sure that I have turned on my Show Hide, because the next thing I always want to do is insert a few blank paragraphs to help me organize myself, but later on I need to delete them. Now we're going to modify the normal style of the document. The normal style is a style that's applied on any text that you write unless you tell Word to do otherwise. So all these paragraphs that I've created here are in normal style. If I go to my Home ribbon group, and under the styles I can see highlighted the style normal that's applied over here. So let's modify it, and the way to modify it is to right click on the style name and go to the modify part of the menu. So this is the menu for modifying a style. It has the style name and it gives you an example what this style looks like. A style collects several things, including, because this is a paragraph style, is going to affect the whole paragraph, including the fonts, the colors, and the spacing between the paragraph and the text above and below the paragraph. So in this particular task, we are going to format the paragraph to change the spacing. So I'm going to click on Format, and of all the possibilities, there's numbering, shortcuts, and many others. I want to select the paragraph setting for this particular style. And what we're going to change is the space before. The default that I see on my screen is that the state before is 0 points and after is 8 points. So I'm going to set the before spacing to 12, and I can do that by clicking on these buttons, or I can type in the form directly. So now I have 12 points, and I'm going to click on OK. And OK. Now you might have noticed that when I close the previous menu, the paragraphs jumped in position. They have now 12 points before each one of the paragraphs, and whatever option was there for after. Now on the footer, we want to put some particular text in. I'm going to go to the footer section. Notice that on the ruler, because I've displayed the ruler, once again, to look at the ruler, we have View, and we have a choice here where it says Ruler. We have the ruler, so we can see what is the active area of the document is the main body. The footer area is dark or shaded. So I'm going to double click within that area, and now they've reversed. My footer area is light, meaning that it's active, and the main body of the document is not. So I'm going to type in here the following text. Here's the name of the text, or here's the text that we put in the footer. I want to make sure that it's right aligned, which means that it's going to align to the right side of the margin. To do that, there's various ways. You can go to Home. Under Paragraph, one of these buttons will right align. So you look at this one, this is a left align, this is center align, this is right align. This is exactly what we want. So as you see, the text is automatically moved to the right. I've double clicked to the main body to exit the footer. Now I'm going to travel to the top. On the very first line, we're going to type the following text. Student name. Now I want to put a line under the student name. We'll see what it looks like in a second. I'm going to select the whole paragraph. And the way that we're going to add that is by using borders. It's almost like a table. So I'm going to go under the home group, and under the paragraph group, here I find borders, and I'm going to select the drop-down box next to it. There's several kind of borders, left, all of them, and I'm going to move between them, and you can see how it shifts. I'm going to look for a bottom border. And now here we go. We have a bottom border. So you see the border goes from side to side, and in this line, your students would type in their names, Bobby, Susie, and whatever it may be. Below this, we're going to type the word instructions. We're going to apply a particular style to this paragraph. What we want is heading style 2. So I'm going to go and under my group here, I'm going to look for heading style 2. Here it is. And you see that I have a particular look for that. It all depends on your computer, how your computer is set up. It may look different, but for mine, this text looks kind of like light blue. And it's a different font from what you've seen before in terms of size and the font name. Under the heading of instructions, you're going to type 3 instructions for your students. Remember, when you type them in, you can make them up. Remember that you're talking to a 5th grader, so make it very simple. I'm just going to type in some dummy text right now to get going. Here are my 3 instructions. We're going to format these 3 paragraphs as bullets. So I'm going to highlight the 3 paragraphs, and under the home group, under paragraphs, here is bullets, and I'm going to click on that once, and here are the bulleted instructions. The lab instructions tell us to change the spacing between these paragraphs where we had typed our instructions. So I'm going to highlight the 3 paragraphs right here. And we need a specific spacing here, this being line. We have a couple of ways of doing that. There is a simple way of doing it. There is actually under the home paragraph group, we have a button here, which is a spacing button, line and paragraph spacing. And when I select the drop-down box, here's various spacing. That's one line. And this is actually the one we want, 1.15, so I'm going to select that. The other way of doing that would have been to go to home under paragraph in the drop-down list, and over here I can see selecting for line spacing, and there's a multiple here, and I would select it to 1.15. So you can do it either way. So next we're going to insert a table, and the instructions are to create a table that's 4 by 5. So I'm going to click on Insert. Click on the drop down, and I'm going to paint the table. You've seen this before. I'm going to select a 4 by 5 table. And now that we've created the table, now we're going to enter headings for each one of these columns. Before proceeding, I noticed that I just made a mistake, but I'm noticing that I'm 1 row short. So I'm going to click on the left, and I'm going to select the whole row. I'm going to add a new row right here. I'm going to right click, insert, and it asks me what I'm going to insert, and I'm going to insert a row. So now I have the correct kind of table. You can do this with columns also, obviously, and you can delete rows if you have too many, or you can delete columns if you have too many. So now here we're going to enter 4 numbers. Here are the 4 numbers. So these are the 4 numbers corresponding to the 4 questions that we have. In the second column, we're going to enter a map for each one of the states. And I'm going to go proceed right now with the following. I'm going to click inside the cell, and I'm going to insert a map. To do that, I go to Insert, and we're going to use Pictures and Pictures Online. And I'm going to search for a map. And you can choose any 4 states you want. I'm going to start with the state of Maryland. So I entered Maryland map clip art, and that's going to give me, or I'm just going to search online for something that meets something that meets that criteria, and various maps are going to show up. I try to keep it simple or fancy, whatever you want. It really doesn't matter that much on it. So pick something that's interesting. I'm going to go ahead and select this map right here, and I'm going to insert it. Now I'm going to get 4 more states, and I see that I already have a problem. The assignment is supposed to be a single page, but now I have 4 pages because some of the maps are huge and they're causing the table to grow and spill the content into the next page, into the next page. You notice that one of the states I selected was California, which is a very large map because it's large north and south. Maryland is a lot smaller than California, so we can make adjustments. Now, before proceeding, I want you to notice that when I move between the pages, although the document does not meet the requirements right now, as I move between the pages, notice that on the first page we have a heading. It has the state capital, the state name, not all the headings are there, but not on the others. So there's a feature in Word that actually comes from Excel where I can go ahead and repeat headers, and I'm going to do so right now just to demonstrate it. Actually, it's part of the assignment. So I'm going to click on the table right now, and notice California, it starts at the top and there's no heading to it. And I'm going to click on a table layout, and under table layout I have an entry that says repeat header. When I click that on, notice that now on top of California I have the headings for number, who am I, state name, and state capital, and the same thing is on the third page. So I'm going to toggle on and off so you can take a look how it shows up for that. It doesn't affect the first page, obviously, because it doesn't. So for the purposes of this assignment, I'm looking to see that you have turned on the repeat header. So we're going to make adjustments to the tables and the images so things fit a little bit better. So in order to be able to resize the contents and the table, I'm going to first work with the contents. So I'm going to adjust the size of some of my pictures. So I'm going to click onto the state of Maryland, and when I click on it, notice that it has these little round buttons around it, and those are holders that allow me to change the shape and the size of a particular picture. If I select the horizontal and go up and down, it squishes the image, and that's not something that I want to do. And the vertical would squish the image sideways also, which is something that I also don't want to do. However, if I move my cursor over one of the diagonals, I can see this diagonal icon shows up, and now I can drag it to make it smaller. And here it is a smaller view of Maryland. So I have resized the different states, different sizes, and as you see right now, the 4 states fall inside, all inside the single page. If I took look at my whole page right now, let's see how we're looking. We have 2 pages still, but the reason we have 2 pages is probably because of these empty paragraphs, and if I delete these empty paragraphs, and that's what I'm going to do right now, all of a sudden I have a 1-page document. Let's take a look at the work again. Now let's see how we can change column widths to make the information a little bit easier to enter for our students. So in the exercise, they wanted to make this column about 3 inches wide. And notice, for example, state name and capital are kind of squashed here. One of the things that we can do with the table is resize is align the information so that everything is in the center of the column. So notice here that the different maps are pushed off to the side. So I'm going to select the whole table, and when I do that is I can click inside the table. I get a cross here, which is an icon to select the whole table. Now my whole table is selected, and what next thing I do is center the contents. I'm going to go to table layout, and in the table layout I have various choices for aligning the contents, and I want one in particular that says align center. So this button does 2 things. It aligns the text to the top and the bottom of the cell, and also to the center, left and right of the cell. So here I'm going to click on it. Take a view now from full page and see how my document is looking now. Actually, so let's take a look. See, everything is really well aligned towards the center. This this column where the state maps are, I want to make it about 3 inches wide. I'm going to select the whole column. Actually, there's a couple of different ways of doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the top of the column, and when I do that, notice that the whole column now is grayed. That means it's selected. And now I can go ahead and change it by going over to the layout group once again. And over in the cell size, I can type in a particular size, and I'm going to make it 3 inches. And now I'm going to do one final adjustments to the table over here. Is notice that these two columns are awkward. They're different sizes. So I'm going to select the state name column and drag to the right for the state capital. And now I'm going to do something that's particularly interesting. Under the layout group, I have the column width and the column height, and the cell height and the cell width. So under the width, next to the button says distribute columns. And when I did that, what it does, it makes the columns equally spaced. So now my students have enough space to go ahead and type a state name, Maryland, and over here state capital, Annapolis. So this is more or less how my assignment looks. Make sure once again that you delete all the blank paragraphs and do a spell check for anything awkward. And with that said and done, we've completed the lab, and I hope you enjoyed, had some fun, and catch you in class. Bye.